Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us. It is Monday night. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Thank you all for joining us. If you can, please share our videos. And tonight we are talking about 7 levels of intimacy every relationship needs. So the 7 levels of intimacy. Um,
Yeah.
and if what is it? Intimacy is all about being close, sharing the closeness with someone, sharing your emotions, and feeling connected and supported by your spouse. So, every successful relationship needs some sort of intimacy in order to grow.
Yep.
It is a great way to communicate, great way to, stress relieve, great way to,
Feel connected.
feel connected,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty much.
Intimacy is especially important when you're trying to have a deeper relationship with somebody because it's like we're going to get into today, it's tonight. It's all sorts of levels to it. So it's not just the deep intimacy that most people think about when they think about, sexual intercourse or something like that. But it starts at, a very light level and then it gets deeper and deeper as time goes on. And you definitely, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you're wanting to spend your life with, i.e., marriage, you want to make sure that you can get real deep with this person and have a true, genuine connection that goes beyond the surface level, but makes you dig deep within yourself and try to become the best person that you can be.
Well said.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people want an intimate relationship with somebody, but intimacy is really something that you just can't rush. It's not something that a lot of people quickly just indulge and let out all of their deepest, darkest desires in one night. It's something that takes time in order for a person to really be open up to.
Right. It takes work on both parts about being comfortable. It's all about being comfortable
Yeah.
and communicating,
Hmm.
whether it's physical communication, whether it's just in verbal communication,
Yeah.
communicating with your emotions. These are all ways that we communicate with intimacy or through
Yeah.
intimacy.
Yeah, and you were right when you definitely said it takes both partners because you have to both be contributing to this intimacy. You can't just be intimate with yourself. You have to have that reciprocal energy where you're both trying to create an environment and maintain an environment that is a safe space for both of you all to dig deeper and connect with each other.
Yep.
Yep. And the cool thing though is a relationship isn't like just going to stay at one level of intimacy. It's not a type of thing that you'll graduate from, although we call it levels. It's really all relationships have these things and you bounce through the levels depending on the day, depending on how long you've been together, depending on, a lot of different um a lot of different outliers will depend on whether or not your intimacy is deep or not, or if it's, a surface level thing. So it's definitely not just one single level within a relationship. So it always won't stay this way, of course. But what you're hoping is that as time goes on, especially in the new relationships, that it just gets deeper and deeper and evolves more. Yeah. What do you think? You ready to dig on
Yep.
in?
So number one, cliches. So cliches are pretty much the first level of intimacy in relationships, and that's pretty much just small talk, day to day talking with anyone, your spouse,
Yeah.
pretty much. This sets the base for open communication and being comfortable in the relationship.
Yeah, it's like your introduction in a way.
Hmm.
It's that surface level intimacy where you're not really indulging too much. You're just like, hey, how you doing? Like, keeping it very cordial with the person. And also, it's important to mention since we're getting into this, it's not that all these levels of intimacy aren't going to be for every relationship. So, and this one in particular, you'll see like this is more common with your day to day interactions with people, your surface level cliche conversations, that you just say to pass time pretty much. Those are the acquaintances relationships, not those deep relationships where you're trying to move past the cliche stage into something more.
Or if there's someone out there that you want to get to know more of,
Yeah.
Like you want to actually one day, think that you may want to date this person.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a way to, this is a building block
Yep. First
to
step.
open that communication is through impersonal conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So how was your weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Surface level. Yep.
Surface level conversations, day-to-day things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that's cliches.
Yeah, and that's a good one. I like that you said, especially if you're trying to date somebody, because this is the pickup line area, right? Where you
Mhm.
have your good old pickup line, something that you say, "Oh, you look beautiful," or something.
Or either
That's
you, or either you must be tired because you've been running through my mind all day. Something like something like that.
Yeah, you're cliche. Yep, you're very cliche, something to say, but you're trying to reach out and connect with the person. Yeah. Next, this is I figured out this cool little thing that we could start doing is putting our topics down at the bottom. So as you see, our first one was the cliche, first level of intimacy. So the second level of intimacy is sharing facts. This level of intimacy goes a little bit deeper to where you may be getting into facts that things that you have come to learn, value that you can kind of add to a conversation. So you're digging a little deeper and seeing more so into your mind and the things that and want to talk about.
Facts.
Yeah.
Things that are more so about you.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to introduce things about your hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
what you like, what you don't like, your favorite, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you start those conversations, you're getting more personal. So you see where we're going with this intimacy thing. It gets deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where facts come in. You could be on the job, talking about uh, statistics, reports, things like that. But
Yeah.
facts. So you're talking to someone about facts to get to know
Mm-hmm.
them more. So hoping that they will share more with you
Yeah. Yeah.
as well. Facts
Yeah.
about themselves.
Mm-hmm. And
You
or
know.
even maybe their perspective on a topic, like how do they feel about certain topics. Here you can get to know those likes and dislikes, those interests, maybe even their religion, different things that's personal to them, but what they consider to be fact. So this is a nice way of understanding kind of the not well on the lower level. It'll be things like facts like, hey, weather, and what's your favorite sports team, and who do you think is gonna win whatever, type of baseball game, whatever it is. Or then you get a little deeper, and then maybe why do you think that this is happening to our economy, or why do you think that this is happening to this person, or whatever the case may be. It's just it gets a little deeper into when you try to talk about more perspective. You can understand a person's mind, maybe the things that they know, their education level, and stuff like that. So that level, yeah,
it creates dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it really does. It really does. And that level, it's surface level still, but you can still get a nice glimpse as to who that person is. And they start to open up and kind of show you within what they believe to be true.
Oh.
Yeah. So that is the second one.
And number 3, opinions. Sharing
Yeah.
opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions is the third level. It reveals more about yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, maybe your political ideology,
Mm-hmm.
your what else? Your what you agree with, things you
Mm-hmm.
disagree with,
Yeah.
things that you um what is it find to be more so about you,
Mm-hmm.
more even deeper.
Yeah. What do you want out of a marriage, or maybe too, or like a relationship,
Mhm.
or just like surface level conversations, but or what do you think a wife should be, or what do you think a husband should be? If
Your
you're thinking, yeah.
expectations. So this drills down more so on your expectations
Mm-hmm.
of people, of yourself.
Yeah.
So this is more opinion based.
Right.
So
Yeah.
beside the facts, now you're talking about what your ideologies and what your beliefs are
Mm-hmm.
to other people. This
Yeah.
is where you may see compatibility
Mm-hmm.
with someone, is when you start drilling down into the opinions, like-mindedness.
Yeah.
So you want to see if you're able to relate with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Here is the good too for agreeing to disagree.
right.
Like in that point, because you are seeing if you relate to somebody, and then also you can see where you don't relate. So are you able to find common ground here? This
Your
is
differences.
yeah, this is really important when you're now dating somebody and you're getting a little deeper into that third level of intimacy, and you're trying to see, hey, will our lives merge together? Do we have common grounds that we can come together on and, form a life together on? Do we share same morals, values, principles, stuff like that? Those are big ones to try to see ahead of time if that's something that you guys align with. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a level of intimacy. Yeah, and acceptance, of course, is very, very key here, because although opinions differ, that's one big way of showing love, or kind of a beginning form of love, is accepting other people's opinions and their beliefs, and doing so in a nice and kind way, not being rude or judgmental or anything like that, but even trying to, see that person's point of view in a way too.
Right. Acceptance. And so you're allowing them to be who they are,
Hmm.
and growing if you are in a relationship with them.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. And then in this time too, when you're getting to know those deeper parts of a person and you're asking those questions, you want to know if, hey, do we align? And is this something I'm able to live with if this is what you believe? Because that's really important if you're even dating and considering this person. You want to know, hey, do our beliefs align? Should we keep this going, or is this too much? Like, or is your ideologies too far out there that I can't, rail it on in home with you? So
Can't relate.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, in the opinion phase, like I said before, these are things that you will find whether you can relate with this person or not.
Yep.
You will find whether you all can, like my wife said, agree to disagree.
Hmm.
But more so, it creates more of a dialogue back and forth about what you all like and what you all may dislike.
Yep. 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 And that's a good thing too. I think in controversy, it's a beautiful opportunity to see maybe an expansion of thought. So being open minded here is really key too, because you want to be able to see, hey, I never thought of something that way. And then maybe somebody's opinions was able to, open up your opinions. And so now you see life in a whole new way. And that's really cool if this is especially a spouse, because then, that person's going to help open you up to new things that you didn't think, was possible. So, yeah. Ready for the next one?
Yep. Number 4, hopes and dreams.
Yep.
Setting aside instant gratification
Yeah.
to build a future together.
Yep.
So this is where you have your marriage vision.
Hmm.
So what you want your relationship to look like,
Hmm.
what house you want, how many children you want.
Yep.
This is where you start envisioning your relationship and how you want it to be.
Yeah. I think if we go back, when we talked about the dating and the levels, the stages of a relationship, I think that this stage is definitely one where you're probably gotten through that point of getting to know this person, and then you're like, oh, I like this person, I want to be with this person, right? So now you've kind of hit that 3 month, I guess, so they say, where you're about 3 months in and you're trying to merge lives and you're trying to become a we and less so much of a
Me.
yeah, yeah. So you let go of those dreams that you just had as a singular person, and now you're thinking of, wow, I have this new person in my life that I have gotten to know and I like them, and hey, maybe this can go a little deeper. So let's talk about what life would look like together. Yeah. And whether or not you guys can align to that. So here, of course, is huge that you reveal your hopes and what you hope for your spouse, what you kind of hope that relationship would look like, what they would contribute. All of that is good to put up front ahead of time. So then that way that person knows your expectations, and they can't, say, hey, I didn't know you wanted me to do something like that. Like, they'll, be well aware that, hey, this is something that you want. And, okay, I'm possibly down to fulfill that. At this point too, it's kind of early, because it's not saying 100% that, this is how it's going to be, but it's more so like, hey, I envision marriage this way, and you envisioned, your life and hopes and dreams this way. Let's see how we can take these visions and try to make them one.
Hmm.
Yeah. This is also a cool part, because I think It brings in your enthusiasm and your passions of things you're excited about as well. So it can go a little deeper into past, the relationship and maybe even the things that you envision for your financial future or like your kids' generational future or yourself future, where you look at where you want your career to be,
Hmm.
different things like that. That's important to share here too, so that you can kind of get in one accord too. Like women, if you're dating a guy and he's telling you all about, his career and stuff like that, don't be intimidated by that, especially if you're not on a set career path or anything either, because that's super a great opportunity for you to come in and get on a man's like program and understand what he's doing and then how you can help be of benefit, especially if he's telling you like he has this full on plan about how he's ready to take over the world and he wants you to be a part of it.
Hmm. Yep. So you can figure out where your roles are
Mm-hmm.
and see how you all can support each other to achieve goals.
Yeah. Yep. Finding that genuine agreement. I think one of the key things that you said was willing to delay that gratification. I didn't think that I thought about that as much when we first got together, because I kind of just thought like getting together and having kids and stuff was just, that was a vision, so there wasn't delaying gratification. But then now when we look back on our lives, it's like, oh, with kids, it's not, we can't do everything, because we got kids now.
Right.
So it's just like we came together for that joint vision. We wanted kids. And then you kind of like delayed gratification of other things, and then you get it.
Yeah, you delaying that gratification for 18 years
Yeah,
per child,
basically.
pretty much.
Mhm.
And those are things that we don't, think about,
Yeah.
especially because, you can't always bring your children, you can't bring your children on your late night dates with you.
Yeah.
So those, unless you have, well, you can hire a babysitter or something. But for those who can't, you're delaying gratification
Mhm.
of being able to be untethered from your children,
Right.
and doing things that you used to love to do. But there's
Mhm.
other things that you can do that
Yeah.
you are enthused about as far as being a parent, especially you having a second childhood again, playing with your children.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
those are there's a give and take to all of that.
Yeah, and delayed gratification doesn't mean it's never gonna come. It just means, slightly delayed. So it's still gonna come, whatever it is that you're, hoping to wish. And this also can mean, hey, like, did you decide that you wanted to stop your career, like maybe stop college so that you could help your spouse do whatever, male or female? Maybe the guy decided he was gonna work so he can support his woman while she's in school, whatever the
Or
case
vice
is.
versa.
Or vice versa. Yeah, whatever the case is, sometimes it may require like, hey, I'm willing to, put aside this goal that I had for myself so that we can commonly come together and work into a goal, together type thing. So yeah, I think it's always nice when you're able to do things shared experience with a person.
Of
So
course.
delaying it, it's kind of worth it because you get that other companionship along with it, and you get to go through a whole bunch of events and life experiences together.
Yeah, speaking on broad terms,
Mhm.
but like I said, there's a lot of benefit to delaying gratification, depending on what it is. It could
Right.
be like you said, putting your career on pause to strategize to make more money for the family by
Mhm.
giving the father an opportunity to increase his career.
Yep.
Figuring out ways to do that as well.
Yep. Yep. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, let's see. The next one, the fifth level of intimacy is sharing feelings. So, of course, by this time, you're certainly deep into a relationship with somebody to where you're comfortable being vulnerable and sharing your feelings, your deep feelings. So, you're even talking about things that, maybe have happened in the past that might have hurt you, or, things that you experienced that you had never told anybody before. Just being able to talk and explore how you're really feeling on issues with the anybody, in particular though a spouse, will really help deepen that bond. So that's a deep fifth level of intimacy where it's kind of deeper than, of course, the surface level cliche talk, but it's not as completely deep as, when you go a little into the next one, brother.
Right. This could be a stage to where you're developing empathy for that person and
Yeah.
understanding, helping them to express their feelings as well. You
Mm-hmm.
also able to express your feelings with this person. You're at this stage to where you all can, like my wife said, share deep secrets with each other. You
Mm-hmm.
trust each other. So those are where those characteristics and personality traits are coming about as far as building that foundation
Yeah.
of loyalty and trust
Yeah. And open
and open
communication.
communicate. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And creating that safe space for that open communication for sure. That's a big one. And I think also too here when you're sharing your feelings, especially being that if this is a new relationship for you, learning how to share your feelings in a way that's productive, and so not hurting somebody else just because you're explaining that you're angry, or just being able to express yourself in a way that can be clearly understood and not so much taken as a insult or a threat or something, more of a negative reaction from somebody else when all you're trying to do is express yourself. So, learning healthier ways of communication is big here. And I think it sets up boundaries as well, too. So you'll be able to say, hey, when you're, letting me know that you don't like something, I would like it if you didn't yell, or I would like it if you didn't cuss, or, little things like that. You're able to vocalize how you want to communicate when you're expressing those hard feelings and stuff like that with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like when you're arguing, if you're talking and just understanding how you can argue with each other, and a healthier way of doing that too. So, or even good things, how you want to share your good things with the person, how you telling a person, I like, when you hit me up more and I can talk to you and share all my good, you know, exciting things that happen throughout the day or whatever. Just having that reciprocated energy of talking and being able to open up about all types of feelings all throughout the day is a huge level of intimacy that also deepens into, you know, more as it goes on.
Right.
Yep. Um, Oh, another one is that oftentimes our feelings often reveal like our brokenness or like our needs or our traumas and the things that we've gone through. So here is also a great time where you're able to open up and tell the things that you've gone through and your triggers and your traumas, and how that person can help or can more so understand what you're going through, and then or what you have gone through, and then how they can contribute to you continuing in your successful ways of, communicating and dealing with those triggers and stuff. Hmm. What do you think?
I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, you pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
That, like I said before, I can only repeat what I've been saying as
Yeah.
far as emotions, and you're understanding the use of empathy, and you're really understanding and finding ways in which you can support someone dealing with their past traumas and what they have been through. You're understanding more of this person other than the surface level of what's going on. So you're digging deep down and understand what ticks them off, what makes them upset, and also what makes them happy. It's
Hmm.
pretty much that's what this stage is all about.
Yep. And we love to do this with a person that we care about in particular, because it helps you to feel like you're being heard. And that's important if you have never received that, especially coming from maybe a traumatic childhood or whatever, and you didn't receive that. It's nice to have a loved one who helps you feel heard. So that's a big one too.
Yep, especially so you won't feel alone
Hmm.
at that as well. You know.
Yeah. Yep, yep. Well, this one pretty much opens the door right for the next one, because when we talk about our feelings, we also have to dig into sharing your faults, fears, failures, and those deep, deep shadow sides, I guess, of yourself that you kind of wouldn't want to reveal to somebody. So, this is actually, though, super important when you're in a relationship, Because, like my husband was saying before, with your empathy, being able to understand your spouse and, their why they are the way they are, why they react the way they react. But also, if you're just generally dating, you can come to understand, hey, this is something that bothers you. I can probably know not to do this further on in our relationship, or I can, behave in a certain way that will help the whole situation just flow better because I understand you and your triggers and your fears and your failures and the things that you subconsciously take in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I see this more so as an opportunity to be even more vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
in the faults, fears, and failures stage.
Yeah.
And like it does allow you to heal, because what you're
Yeah.
doing is you're getting your skeletons out of the closet. You know how I always say it's not always good to bring your bags into a new relationship, but for those who do, the opportunity arises here on this sixth stage where you put it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're getting deeper into the history of who you are, and you're sharing that with
Yeah.
someone who you're dating with intention with.
Mm-hmm.
So you may provide secrets to things that you may have not told anyone in the past, your criminal history,
Mm-hmm. Maybe
any
abusive history
right,
if you were abusive in your past or
right.
something. Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing here is that with the person that you're tending to be closer with, you're trying to make sure that they understand the old you.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to convince them in some form of fashion to let them know that this is no longer you.
Mm-hmm.
But what this does, it helps you to relieve that stress or anxiety that you've been keeping in for so long that
Yeah.
may be detrimental to the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because you have not expressed yourself and relieve or let go of that trauma that you've endured. So that is where this stage can be most beneficial, and that is how you use it. You bravely speak of these things.
Mm-hmm.
You can seek for forgiveness of
Yeah.
yourself and others as well when you take this stage on. So you understanding how this level of intimacy can also repair the self, can
Mm-hmm.
repair you, and then ultimately what this does, it builds provides trust, even more stronger trust in the relationship. On the flip side, what it could do to the spouse or the other person that you're dating is make them very cautious of you, to make sure that and keep a close eye on you, to make sure that you, one, you're mentally stable, or two, that these things won't happen again.
Yeah.
So you're holding yourself accountable by expressing this information to your significant other, but
Mm-hmm.
all the while it is adding benefit, multiple sources of benefit.
Yeah.
You're relieving anxiety, you're building trust, you are healing past traumas and situations, and ultimately what it would do, it make you feel relieved.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Have you all ever done this before? How many of you have released deep dark secrets and told them to your spouse? If so, that's a great thing.
Yep.
That is a trust level beyond any other relationship you have probably ever had
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And that's very good, because you are open to conversation that is conducive to healing.
Yeah.
Is healing conversations are by far are one of the best attributes of a relationship. You have
Mm-hmm.
that support from someone who doesn't judge you or doesn't try to beat you down because of things that you've done in the past.
Yeah.
All you're doing is trying to seek for someone to listen to you, and to for them to provide some sort of feedback
And support.
and support, but not judgmental or criticizing you.
Yep. Yeah, you certainly don't want to do that.
Right,
That's certainly not going to help your relationship grow.
right, because you're striving for the best you. So you
Yep.
want to be the best you, and then your best other. So you know, sit down and have those moments. Say
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, revealing things. What are some revealing things that we don't know about each other?
Mm-hmm.
Off top, body count. Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about those things, and then you can dig down deeper. What is your criminal history like? What are things that you are not proud of? that you've done in the past, things that
Yeah.
you try to push down that may be a hindrance to you.
Or using statements like "I am afraid of this," or
Your fears.
or "I need help with this," or
Hmm.
"I have messed up with this." That's just an easy way to get yourself to lead into the conversation of digging a little deeper.
Right.
And don't be afraid to offer the information, especially if it's showing, again, a safe, supportive space within your relationship. I think within the relationship stage, this is probably like when you're pretty deep in, you should be pretty much engaged with this person by this time. Really, I think before you're
Oh yeah.
married, you should have definitely indulged in everybody, each other's fears and failures and stuff like that. That's definitely a conversation to have before you're engaged. So, yeah, be sure to certainly do that.
Yeah.
But
Don't do this as soon as you meet someone.
yeah, no, you might scare them off.
Your fears and failures will scare them off.
Yeah, don't do
And
that.
run and hide
Yeah,
somewhere.
right. I mean, of course, thankfully, those fears and failures and stuff are something that people, keep in pretty deep. So that's not something you look to indulge too soon. So certainly don't do that too soon. Make sure that it is a trusted, safe space for you to do so that, of course, it doesn't backfire, whatever the case may be. But of course, make sure, though, that you're focused on moving forward with this person that you're giving this information to. Don't look to kind of have a pity party or woe is me type thing. Don't, put yourself back in victim mode or anything like that. Just be sure to have a conversation so that you're moving forward and working towards a new light and just showing your whole self in a new light, like you mentioned.
Yeah, because it's okay because you're not the person that you were in the past.
Right.
So that's what you want. Like I said, you want to persuade or prove yourself better today than you were yesterday to your spouse. So that's what this is. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, definitely. Being the best version of yourself.
Hmm.
That's a great thing that a relationship looks to bring out of you. It's like a mirror of that, where you will see the things that you need to work on, the things that you need to improve on, and then the things that you're really good at. Your relationship will show that as well. So it's definitely okay to, go ahead and release those fears and failures so that your spouse can bravely walk with you and get through all of that. Yep, let's see. We're moving right on through this. And number 7
Number 7
number,
Number 7.
number 7, sharing legitimate needs.
Yep. All right. What is this about? To know and be known, seeing, feeling, thinking, experiencing through your partner's perspectives. So it's sharing your needs. So you wanted to
I think here, when it says legitimate needs, I when I think of legitimate needs, I think of here's where you're getting into the physical part of the intimacy, right? So you're talking about all the things that you need to feel loved by this person, how, like, whether this is what is the love forms. I'm having a brain sleepy moment, but your love language. There we go. So your love languages. Here at that moment, you're letting your spouse know, here, these are my love languages. This is how I like my, intimacy. When we're talking like physical intimacy, this is how often I may want it. This is how I may want it, things like that. You're talking about the specifics here, really.
Yep, things that fulfill you. So things that make you happy. Your physical, emotional, intellectual, your spiritual needs, all of those, helping your spouse to become the best version of him or herself through those, your physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual needs. So you're thinking of their mental needs. I mean, that's very broad. It takes on a lot of things. Your religious needs, maybe you need to, meditate once in a while, try to share those moments together. And it drills down even to intellectual. So even like hobbies, maybe you have someone who, I don't know,
creative needs.
Yep, creative needs.
Yeah.
Yep.
They like to tinker with their cars or
or artsy, someone who's artsy or
dance or whatever it is. Yeah. Just letting your spouse know, like, hey, this is what I need to really feel whole in this relationship. Because as much as we want to say, a relationship, oh, you're not supposed to want anything out of a relationship, all that other stuff. No, a really relationship is you giving to each other so that you both are receiving what you need out of the relationship. So it's you have to talk about the things that you expect, how you like things. Like, don't be shy about these things. These are legitimate and they're okay to have, especially when it comes to pleasing you, and you want yourself to be pleased and happy. So let your spouse know how they can do that for you.
Right. It was something else I wanted to say too. It talks about um, I forgot. No, brain fog.
Yeah, it's Monday, y'all.
Yep,
But we're
long
still
Monday.
here. We kicking it in. And this is a cool little topic because I often think about, well, when I thought about intimacy, especially within the relationship, kind of really think the surface level, oh, we're connecting with each other, and then, oh, we have sex, and then, oh, like, yeah, like that's intimacy. But it's a lot much deeper than that. It's really about just how a person can come to know you and who you are, and just really how you guys can work and love together in a way.
Right. But it's multiple levels of satisfaction
Mm-hmm.
also, and
Yeah.
and we're showing you what that looks like.
Yeah.
So through the legitimate needs, you find fulfillment and satisfaction through other things that you enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
through enjoying through actions, different
Together.
actions together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was trying to touch on that. So it may be something that you may want to share or try to do with your spouse, is
Mm-hmm.
taking part of what their hobbies are,
Mm-hmm.
because we all like different things and like
Mm-hmm.
different experiences in life. Like my wife said, it doesn't have to be something that's sexual. It could be
Right.
something, like I said before, creative needs. Try, if your husband likes to paint, you can try to paint with him or something like that. Just find other ways of, because what happens is that you get a better understanding of that person
Yeah.
once you start experiencing what they do and why they do it, their hobbies, their what makes them tick. You get to understand all of that. That builds a closer bond once you understand these intimate situations with them.
Mm-hmm.
What makes them happy on a deeper scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that should fulfill you as well. Like we were saying, it's really more so about you guys both fulfilling each other. So you should want to know what your spouse needs. You should want to know what makes your spouse happy. You should want to know what fulfills your spouse and how you can best do that. So that's definitely a conversation that should be exciting to know about. Don't look at it like a chore, like, oh, I'm having to take care of somebody or mama somebody or whatever the case may be, but just really look at it like an exciting experience to be able to share with somebody and enjoy with them the things that they make, that make them happy, as well as enjoying the things that make you happy with your spouse. So that's the nice part of intimacy, is the shared experiences and the memories that are created from that.
Right.
I think that's what deepens the bond even more.
Right. It creates that oneness, it creates that
Mm-hmm.
closeness so that you don't feel alone. So
Yeah.
that's what this is all about, is making sure that you, like my wife said, you tighten that bond. That bond gets tight, between you all,
Yeah.
and you learn more and more about each other through these different levels of intimacy.
Yep. Yeah. So, just a quick recap, the journey through the 7 levels of intimacy. So, it starts from the really, really shallow end, right? The shallow end is the cliche end where you're not really talking about much. And then it goes really deep. So, it goes from irrelevant to irrelevant. Now, you're talking about your facts. That's your second level of intimacy. You're getting into the facts, which leads way to the opinions. And from the opinions, that third level of intimacy leads into sharing hopes and dreams with each other, which is nice because it moves from the illegitimate desires to the legitimate desires, from judgment to acceptance. You move from fear to courage when you hit the fifth level of intimacy, because now you're sharing feelings with each other, and you head into the sixth level of intimacy, really showing your faults, fears, and failures. So that's definitely digging into being brave enough and vulnerable enough to open up to a person. And then, of course, you go from loneliness to profound companionship, from isolation to unity, when you start sharing your legitimate needs with your spouse and you're connecting with them and you're really looking to share your life with them and enjoy life with them.
Yeah, well said, honey.
Yeah, all good.
Yep, all good.
This is a pretty quick stream, but you know, it happens.
Yeah. No, but yeah, those are just some. What